All right. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking about life. We're going to be talking about my life and some new information that I just literally found out about right before hopping on this live podcast. So I'm going to be sharing that information with you guys. Once again, thank you for joining. If you have tuned in for the night watchers, lurkers, the night owls, the ones of you that probably listen to me on the graveyard shift, welcome back. Also, welcome back to the people watching on the replay. So, if you have been following my channel, you know that I have been talking about me moving out of Florida, and I'm going to Bowling Green, Kentucky. In that general location. I'm not going to tell exactly where I'm going, but it's near Bowling Green, Kentucky. I've already spoke about why I'm leaving Florida. This podcast has nothing to do with Florida. So if you have tuned in expecting me to go on another rant and a tirade about Florida and how much I hate Florida and my experience in Florida, tune back in to another podcast because I promise you that is coming, but we're not going to be doing that here in this one. Tonight, I want to share something honestly very cryptic I learned. And I don't know how to take this. I honestly don't. Let me just explain the situation at hand. So because I'm moving back to Kentucky, right? I've been reaching out to all of my old friends, people that I haven't spoke to in years, people that I really haven't seen in years, that maybe we can catch up. One of my childhood friends, this young man that he was only 4 years younger than me. We went to school together. We were on the same teams together in school, the same basketball team, same swim team, same track team. We grew up together. So I was going through all of my old messages on Facebook, and I'm talking about like going back to 2020, okay, before I moved. And I was just going through my messages, and something caught my eye that this person tried to message me, but I guess I didn't open it or I didn't see it, and they weren't friends with me on Facebook. So if you know anything about Facebook, we all know this. If you're not friends with somebody on Facebook, it probably goes to message request, or if the person does receive the message, you're not going to know if they received the message unless they opened it. I never opened this message from this young man, from my friend. He was my friend. He was a good friend. And notice how I say was. So it said something like, "Hey, what's up, stud?" He called me a stud. I don't know. Maybe I saw it, but I was just so occupied during that time period that I was trying to get all of this stuff together to sell, and I was messaging different people on Facebook because that's primarily how I sold my things, was through Facebook Marketplace. So I was messaging so many other people. I'm not trying to come up with excuses. I'm just trying to add to the story because I like to go into details with my story times. So I probably did not see the message. I didn't open it up. Well, I opened it up. And after 2 years, well over 2 years, well over 2 years of it not being opened, I decided to send my friend a message. And I gave him my new number for him to get in touch with me. Uh, and I said, "Hey, what's up?" And because we're not friends on Facebook, I went over to his profile. He recently had a birthday. He was in Aries. His birthday was on the 22nd of April. So it just passed. As I was going through his timeline, I was seeing that a lot of people were wishing him a happy birthday, but they also said, "I wish you were still here. We miss you. I'm so, every day goes by where I don't think about you." It was, it was like, okay, what happened? What's happened? Because I was completely unaware what the hell happened. I went over to Google, and instead of me sitting up here trying to explain it, let me just go ahead and pull it up. Um, Give me 1 second, guys. So I went over to the Kentucky State Police website, and this is what pulled up when I Googled my friend's name. Round Hill, Kentucky, December 18th, 2021, on Friday, December 17th, 2021. At approximately 11:03 p.m., the Kentucky State Police, Post 3, Bowling Green. This is why I'm saying it's cryptic. I, I've been speaking about Bowling Green, but I'm not going to jump ahead of myself. Was requested by the Butler County Sheriff's Office to respond to a fatal collision in Butler County. Troopers arrived at the scene of the collision, located at 2936 Reedyville Road in the Round Hill community. The preliminary investigation revealed that Kayla S. Plemons, 33, of Brownsville, was operating a 2007 Mercury Mountaineer in the southbound lane of Reedyville Road when she entered a curve and lost control of her vehicle. This vehicle exited the roadway where it overturned in the wooded area. A passenger in the vehicle, Donnie Thrasher, 23, of Scottsville, Kentucky, was pronounced deceased by the Allen County coroners. Plemons, along with a third passenger, this Michaela Gross, 21, of Scottsville, was transported to Greenville Regional Hospital in Bowling Green, where they were treated for non-life-threatening injuries. The investigation continues and is being led by Trooper Michael Wathen. He was assisted on the scene by Butler County Sheriff's Office, Butler County EMS, 4th District of Morgantown Fire Departments, Butler County Emergency Management, Butler County Rescue Squad, and Butler County Coroner. So Donnie Thrasher, I know him as Lane. Lane Thrasher, Layne. Lane. That's who I knew him as. He passed away at 23 because he was involved in a fatal accident. Now, one of the things that I'm wondering is what caused was this young lady under the influence, intoxicated, or was this just an honest? She lost control of the vehicle, and it was just an accident. Me knowing how Lane was and the type of people that he was around, um, uh, it wouldn't surprise me that he was just at the wrong place at the right time. And it's so fucked up because I didn't realize that I was messaging a dead person until I went over to his profile. He messaged me on January 9th, 2020 at 10:26 a.m. He said, "Hey there, stud." And that was the last message that he ever sent me. I I grew up with this. This was a close friend, guys. One of my best childhood friends. The last time that we actually seen each other was back in 2018. But hey, that's what happens. It's life. But I think that here's the kicker though. This is why it's so cryptic. And I'm like, I was thinking it took me a minute to process it. I'm like, that's very strange. And you can chop it up to be a coincidence or not, but I don't know why. I don't know why I came across his message at the right time of me talking about moving to Bowling Green. I was just talking about moving to Bowling Green. I was just talking about moving to Bowling Green. Lane Thrasher moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky on April 7th of 2021. This is very don't believe me? Here. Yeah. Are you trying to send me a message, buddy? Is it weird? I think it is. It just makes me think, you know, is he trying to tell me something? because I was going through all of my Facebook messages, and I was going through, I was messaging different people, but I came across him. And under the assumption that he was still here with us, I reached out. I even sent him my new number because I lost contact. I didn't even give him my new number. When I left Kentucky, I only remained in contact with maybe 10 people at most. Everyone else either had my old number from 8 years ago, or I just, we just fell out. But he was one of the people that last attempted to speak to me. That was before I moved. And now I'm just learning about this information. It's kind of like, wow, this is crazy. I was just talking about moving to Bowling Green. My friend moved to Bowling Green at the beginning of 2021. And then not even a year later, he ended up dead. There's a reason that I knew there was a reason. I knew there was a reason why I was attracted to that place. I didn't even know that he moved to Bowling Green. I didn't know. The last time that I spoke to Lane, he was in Oregon. He was born in Crossville, Tennessee. He grew up in Kentucky, and then he moved to Oregon for about, like, out west for maybe 2 or 3 years. And I guess when he came back, that's when he came back to Bowling Green, Kentucky. And not even a year into moving to Bowling Green, this happened to him. Now, yeah, it's stuff like this happens all the time. There's car accidents. People die like this all the fucking time, every day. Like, what is it? Every 10 seconds, there's a car accident. God bless them. People die like this all the time. They die like this all the time. Happens every day. I haven't looked further into it because after coming across that, I was just wanting to know what happened. I don't know the details of it. I'm sure that if if it was something more nefarious, let's say that this woman was intoxicated behind the wheel in the state of Kentucky. I'm not saying if she is, I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but for anybody that matter, for anybody, if you get behind the wheel and if you're drunk, then that is equal to first-degree murder. It's a mean state, and they don't fuck around when it comes to drinking and driving. Driving under the influence, period. So is that what happened here? Or did she lose control of the vehicle and it was just an honest accident? She wasn't paying attention, because I know that can happen too. I've been in accidents where the simplest mistakes turn into life-threatening situations. Back in 2011, I was in a fatal, life-threatening car accident that could have very well taken me out of this world like that. I wouldn't be here talking to y'all. I would have been dead back in 2011. But by the grace of God, he spared me and my grandmother's life. on October 22nd, 2011 at 4:53 p.m. I could have died. So could have so could my grandmother. Both of us could have died. And all of that was caused by, well, she was eating. She wasn't really paying attention to the road, but this one lady, she ran through the intersection. She was speeding. She ran the fucking light. It was yellow and she was nowhere close to the intersection. It was already red by the time that she entered it. Plus, it was a very sunny day. The sun was directly shining in my grandmother's eyes. She was driving. And it was basically a 120 mile per hour collision that we went through. Because each vehicle was going 60. Probably more than that. And it sent us all the way down the road, tail spinning. You know, all three of us, including the woman that ran the stoplight or intersection, could have died that day. It was a combination of things. But I rest my case. You know, I say that because I know that accidents can happen because of simple mistakes. It happens all the time. But I don't know. Was she drunk? I'm going to have to look into it more. Because if she was drunk, then she just took the life of a very good man that was loved by so many people. I'm still processing this. I literally found out about this about maybe 20 minutes ago. And no more than 15 minutes, I hopped on the podcast. So this is a raw reaction. And it's so weird. God works in mysterious ways. Because if it wasn't for me moving to Bowling Green, I would not be going through all of my old friends list. Hey, getting in contact with old people, trying to reconnect with people that I have not spoke to in years, such as Lane. And through that, I learned that, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. You know, and I didn't even know about it. Surprisingly, you may find this surprising, this is not the first time this has happened. Now, I'm glad that it's bad. It's bad either way you cut it, but I'm glad that he died because he was in an accident, right? Like, even if she was drunk behind the wheel, she didn't have intentions on killing people. That's what she'll argue, but the law views it a little bit differently. Like, you had no business being out on the road intoxicated to begin with. But I can understand that she didn't have intentions on killing somebody. Contrary to the information last year that I've talked about here on my channel too, and some of you, if you've been watching me for at least 1 year, you would know what I'm about to talk about. My ex that got murdered by his fiance, and I knew his fiance, which is now in prison. He got stabbed to death. You know, this guy got stabbed to death. And what's so creepy about it was because my ex told me back in 2018, we didn't date long at all, maybe 6 months at that. He told me that his fiance, the dude that he was with, was going to kill him. He confided to me that he was afraid of his life, like his life was in danger being around Jordan. Jordan beat Chris, and Chris was a big dude. Chris was 6'3", okay? And he had a big pot belly. So it's not like that he was a small little weakling. No, Jordan's a little scrawny fuck, and he's probably getting sodomized in prison right now as we're speaking. He's someone's bitch. And I hope he's someone's bitch for what the fuck you did. You disgusting piece of shit. I hope you get sent to the deepest, darkest pits of where you will reside for the rest of your life. That is your hell right there for what you did to this man. Because even back in 2018, Chris was telling me that he was afraid of Jordan and that one day, if they continued, he would not be here. And I told Chris, you need to get away from him before he kills you. I don't care what happens between us. It has nothing to do with us. Even if we break up, I don't care. Get away from this person. Chris's parents hated Jordan with a passion. Even his parents. I remember conversations where it was me, Chris, and his mother. And we were all talking, and they were, Chris and his mother were telling about Jordan and all of the shit that Jordan was doing to Chris, and Chris's mother telling Chris that I'm glad that you're away from him. And keep in mind that Jordan was locked up during the time of me and Chris dating. So he was locked up for 6 months. I actually did not find out about Jordan until, well, that's a lie. No, that's a lie. I knew about Jordan the entire time. Chris told me about Jordan. Jordan was in prison. Jordan was a psychopath. Jordan, he talked like he was a dangerous person, a very dangerous person. So fast forward to December, I believe December 15th or December 16th of 2021. Again, another December. Why is everyone dropping dead in December? I came across this article last year. Again, I didn't find out about this until it actually happened. It wasn't until, I want to say maybe around this time last year, that I found out Chris was murdered by Jordan. And I came across this article from December 2021 of Chris Coffey. And it said that, long story short, if you want to hear more about this story, please go back to my playlist. I'll talk about it more in detail. But long story short, Jordan chased Chris down to a campsite in Russell Springs, Kentucky, in his car. Chris was also in a car. So you have his fiance chasing him to a campsite. When they got to the campsite, Jordan hopped out the car, busted out the front windshield of Chris's car, and proceeded to stab him to death. After he did that, Jordan then fled to Cookeville, Tennessee, and tried to get a job at some type of motel receptionist job he tried to get. So he fled state after doing this, and he thought that he wasn't going to get caught. Well, he was caught no more than 48 hours later. So, yeah, that's how Chris died. And you know what's so scary about that? In my shoes is because I've talked to Jordan. I've talked to Jordan and I've talked to Chris. And now looking back on the words that he said back in 2018 when he confided to me that his life was in danger, even back then, I was taking it seriously. I thought that people were downplaying it. I even said that. And I was very honest with Chris. I'm like, Chris, you need to get away from him. I'm not trying to disrespect the dead, okay? But Chris, strike me down. God, strike me down right now. I told Chris, do not go back to Jordan. Stop going back to Jordan because they were both cheating on each other. That was just one of the problems, okay? This is why if you are in a toxic relationship, yeah, it may not be this extreme. The two of you may fight, bicker, and argue. That's what all couples do that. Married people do that. But the minute that you lay hands on your partner, you need to leave. The two of y'all need to break up, separate, and go your separate ways. Because if you don't, it's only going to get worse. There's no going back after that. That's why I left my ex. I told Jeremy that if we continued to be together, one of us was going to end up seriously dead, if not, well, dead, or serious, if not seriously hurt. You need to leave. Because when a person lays hands on you, and if you continue to be with that person, guess what that sends to that person? The message that sends is that, okay, well, I can continue doing that. Let me see how further I can push it. Let me see how further I can go. You know, I've already crossed this boundary. Let's see how further I can take it. And whether you're the submissive type or you're going to fight back, it does not matter. Either way, one, if not both parties are going to be killed, if not seriously, physically hurt. People's tuning out. I don't care. This is real talk, what we're talking about. Because guess what? If Chris would have left Jordan back then, he would still be here today. That man went through hell. And I'm passionate about it. Not because he's my ex, but because Jordan is a fucking monster. And let me tell you something else. I'm not going to be, oh my God, I'm not going to be airing out your dirty laundry. But trust and believe, Chris, sadly, is just one of his victims. He may be the only dead victim, but Jordan has plenty of other fucking victims. And what's so sad about that situation is because they were together for years. They were together for years. They used to live in Ocala, Florida together. They moved to Ocala, Florida. They got a cute little place for a year or two. Maybe it was 3. I don't know how long they were down there. I really don't care. But eventually they moved back. But they were together for a long time. To the point where him and Chris were engaged. They were actually engaged. And this is how it ends up. So one of the people that used to be a part of my life, I found out got murdered. Now I'm finding out that my best friend possibly died due to the hands of a drunk driver. Times like this, it makes me really reflect on and be grateful. Grateful to God that I'm still here. Because with me being so close to the situation I just described to you guys, that could have very if he would have done that to Chris, and he was very envious of anybody that got in the way of him and Chris. He even threatened Chris's mother and parents. He threatened me. And he told me something. I don't know if he was lying or not. And I'm not going to say what he told me. But let's just say that it was a very nasty, evil, vile thing to fuck with someone's mind and fuck with someone's mentality. It's mental warfare. That last message, one of the last things that he said to me before I just blocked him, I didn't go back and forth with him. As soon as he got out of jail, I got a message from Chris saying, "Oh no, Jordan's out of jail." And it really, I was like, okay. And that was pretty much the last message that I was like, okay, this is over then. And then Jordan proceeded to message me, and he started to threaten my life, saying that if I ever came around Chris, if I was even in Russell Springs, Kentucky, to watch my fucking back, and I better hope I don't come across their paths. He also proceeded to tell me something that I'm not going to say, but it's mental warfare. And now one of the men that can actually truthfully answer for this is no longer here. And the other one is incarcerated. And he left me with this pondering thought, which could or could not be true. Like I said, very evil, sociopathic, narcissistic monster we're talking about here. And that was one of Chris's downfalls. The reason why he stayed with Jordan was most likely because he was I hate to say this, but Stockholm syndrome, loving the abuser. You know, Chris was way too nice, and he was a nice, caring, loving guy. He would give the shirt off his back to you. This man let me drive his car to my job. I was working at a factory in Russell Springs, and I had to, he worked on my car too. At the time, I had a Mustang, and Chris was whatever was wrong with it, whatever repairs it needed. I don't know exactly what it needed at the time, but it needed something. So he let me drive his car to work. He was a very nice guy. And even whenever I had my car at work, whenever I was on my lunch break, he would bring me McDonald's and just sweet things like that. Chris, he was a Cancer. He was very nurturing, a Cancer male. But that was also his downfall. And he lacked strong boundaries. He lacked strong boundaries when it came to anyone. And even with some conversations with me, I could tell that just by the way he would answer, it would tell me he's used to being pushed over, to just bending over, agreeing, not just, even if it goes against what he's actually feeling, he'll just agree to avoid conflict. And I never pointed that out, but I did notice it. And when he talked about Jordan, I was thinking, well, he's probably been conditioned this way over time because Jordan, like I said before, is a sociopathic, narcissistic piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. That is used to getting his way. Man, oh man, life is crazy. Yes, Chris died. Chris was murdered. Yeah, Chris was definitely murdered. In fact, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go ahead and show it. So the latest update when it comes to this case is a trial date has been set for Jordan. Jordan and Coffee will go to trial on the charges of murder and tampering with physical evidence in May 2023. Yes, baby. Hallelujah. May 2023 is here. So this piece of shit is about to go to trial. Great. Great. Coffee is charged with murder in connection to the death of 38-year-old Christopher Glenn Coffee of Russell Springs last November. According to Kentucky State Police, a domestic dispute between Christopher Coffee and Jordan Coffee occurred before the alleged murder. Like I said, they were always fighting, cats and dogs, constantly. Jordan Coffee was arrested in Putnam County, Tennessee, just 3 days after Christopher's body was discovered inside a camper at Eagles Nest RV Park in Russell Springs, Kentucky. So, yeah, this is not something I'm making up. This actually did happen. Okay. Yeah, right here it is. I can't make this stuff up, guys. This is my life. This is my life. It may sound like a story, but it may sound like that we're talking about just another true crime case, but this time it hits a little too close for home.
County, a man has been charged in connection to the murder of his husband. State police were called to an RV park Friday. Troopers say they found a 38-year-old Glenn Coffee with stab wounds outside his camper. Detectives learned that there was a fight between the victim and his husband, 27-year-old Jordan Coffee. They say Coffee was found in Tennessee and then arrested.
Yeah, and he's about to go to trial. So yeah, that's you can bet your ass I'm gonna be following that trial. That's gonna be featured here on my channel. Yeah, people start tuning out when shit gets real, but they're like, whatever, you're just dramatizing this. Uh-huh. Kiss my fucking ass, haters. Kiss my motherfucking ass. Y'all think that I make this shit up? Christopher Glenn Coffey of Jamestown passed away on Friday, November 26, 2021. He was 38 years of age. Christopher was born in Somerset on June 28, 1983, sons of Donnie and Peggy Smith Coffey. He was a truck driver who learned to drive while driving and driving for his dad, although he would spend most weeks at a time on the road. Christopher was definitely a mama's boy. He did spend a lot of time at home, guys. So Christopher was enjoying group calls with his fellow truck drivers while they would be on the road from home. Now, I want to get down to, I want to find an article here where it's going to tell more about what happened to him because this is, yeah, right here it is. Okay. And hopefully they don't have a paywall. The Lexington Herald leader. Man found dead inside camper in Russell County. Spouse arrested. So a man has been detained, aka Jordan Coffey, after his spouse was found murdered inside a camper in Russell Springs last Friday, according to the Kentucky State Police. KPS said that it assisted was required after Russell Springs Police Department found Christopher Coffey, 38, of Russell Springs, dead from apparent stab wounds inside his camper at Eagles Nest RV Park. Officers were able to determine that there was a dispute between Coffey and his spouse, Jordan Coffey, also of Russell Springs, before Glenn's death, according to KSP. Authorities obtained a warrant, and Jordan was arrested in Cokeville, Tennessee by the Putnam County Sheriff's Department. There was no information immediately available whether he has been officially charged. Well, he should be. He's guilty. Chances are they're going to say it's a crime of passion. It was a crime of passion. So he'll probably get lucky and get a second-degree murder charge. But either way, you're going to be spending pretty much your life in jail, in prison. Let me correct myself. In prison, not jail. There's a difference. So yeah, it's pretty much a ongoing case right now. But like I said, I hope that this piece of shit gets exactly what is coming to him. Now, as far as me moving to Bowling Green, that's weird though. I still can't get over why I came across my friend that died, another friend. This time it's my friend that died because of An accident. I was about to say a drunk driver, but I don't want to assume things. It makes me question whether my lane is trying to tell me something. And he attempted to message me. I never did. I never responded until now. Appreciate your friends, guys. Reach out to the people that you love, your friends, your family, the people that you consider to be your family. They don't even have to be blood. Blood does not mean family. Let me repeat that again. Blood does not mean family. Opposed to what you may hear, blood is thicker than water. Yeah. I grew up with that saying, blood is thicker than water. But that does not mean that your family is always, like your blood family is not always your family. But regardless, reach out to the ones that you love, because you never know when shit's going to happen. Anything can happen. And it may be the last time that you actually get to talk to that person. It's crazy. So, on to lighter topics. So let's talk about the recent polls that I have been posting on my community tab post. If you have not already went over and let your voice be heard, do so. The most recent poll that I posted was, should transgender be taken out of LGBT? LGBT. Should transgender be taken out? Take out the T. I personally think it does. It should be taken out of LGBT. What about you? Take the poll. 50% of people said yes. 50% said no. So it's at a tie. 20 votes. Because it's not a sexual orientation, they should be classified. Yes, thank you. Someone just liked that comment. Like I said before, I think it should be taken out. Let me make sure you can hear me. I think that transgender should be taken out of LGBT. Yes, I do. Here's why. It's not a sexual orientation. It's not. Prime example would be Caitlyn Jenner. She's already, after her transition, she's already said that I'm not part of LGBT. I'm not gay. I still like women, but I don't consider myself to be gay. So, yeah, it makes common sense. I mean, it's just common. It's not a sexual orientation. And for anybody that thinks it is, you need to educate yourself. Some people, they get so turned off about this topic because it's touchy. You know, they don't want to piss off people. Well, I'll say it. I will say it, damn it. I will be the vessel to say it, like Jeffree Star. I think that transgender needs to be taken out of LGBT. Oh, don't you mean LGBTQ? No. No Q, no T. You can keep it at LGB. Lesbian, gay, or bisexual. You like the same sex, you like the opposite sex, or you like both. That's your sexual orientation. Transgender has nothing to do with that. Gender identity, whatever you want to call it, nothing to do with your sexual orientation. So when you have transgender people, which I know some, that say that I'm not gay. I know that I used to be this way, but I'm not gay. I don't consider myself to be gay or attracted to the same sex. So they're saying that why should, yeah, you see what I mean? So what do you think? Should it be taken out of LGBT? Should the T be taken out of LGBT? 50% of people said yes, 50% of people said no. What do you think? Let your voice be heard. Go over to my community tab post. Okay. The next post. It's not really a poll. It's more of just an informative piece of information if you have been following the case of Quadir. In 2019, PHH Mortgage Corporation paid out $750,000 to 6 military service members to resolve unlawful foreclosures. In October 2018, PHH parent company's PHH Corp was acquired by Ocwen Financial Corp for approximately $360 million. To add context to what we're talking about, if you have been following the case of Quadir Howard, then you would know he has came out and spoke about this. This is the company. I'm under the assumption that he's coming out and exposing. So Quadir is battling with this mortgage company. He claims that he's about to take them to court, and I think that he could have a case. And that brings me to my next poll. Do you think that Quadir has a solid case in court? 15% of people said yes. 85% of people said no. Why do you not think that he has a case in court? I'm not trying to be a smartass. I really want to hear what I want to hear what you guys think of this. If you've been watching Quadir, you know what's going on. What do you think? Do you think that he has a solid case in court? Yes or no? 15% of people said yes. 85% of people said no. 13 votes. Okay. Yeah. You know, and I hope that doesn't happen to Jordan. Like I said, I think that he'll probably get a second degree charge because it was an impulse, or he'll try to plead insanity and probably be locked up in some mental prison, hospital. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Quadir say that the judge overruled one of his arguments? It was in the first live show where he exposed PHH. I don't know if he said that or not. I have to go back and listen to it. But what I gathered was I looked into this company and I looked into what Quadir was saying, and MERS, spelled M as in mouse, E as in egg, R as in rooster, S as in seahorse, MERS is an acronym for Mortgage Electronic Registration Systems. They were founded back in 1995. Their headquarters are in Reston, Virginia, and they are also a privately held company. To add context to Quadir's case, MERS kind of I forget exact a servicer. That's the way that Quadir explained MERS, was they were a servicer. So the way what I took from that conversation, the way that he described it, they're the middleman. They make sure that payments and transactions are processed both ways, that the loan lender is making payments while also they have rights, right? But also that the lender is getting paid and the borrower has rights. And of course they have their little commission that they take out of both ways. But that, to break it down, that's what it is. It is Mortgage Electronic Registration System. It is a way to keep track of transactions during mortgages. Let's look further into this because I want to be sure that you guys are understanding this. I don't want to be spreading misinformation out here. So Mortgage Electronic Registration System, Inc., MERS, is an American privately held corporation. MERS is a separate and distinct corporation that serves as a nominee, and that's another word that Quadir has threw around, on mortgages after the turn of the century. And again, they were founded back in 1995. So they were founded back in 1995. So the current MERS is the third generation of companies with the same name established as of January 1st, 1999. The original MERS was simply an acronym for Mortgage Electronic Registration Systems in 1995. In 1997, MERS registered service trademark with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So that's when they established the acronym. Although the 1995 Mortgage Electronic Registration Systems created the MERS service mark, it is no longer existent after the name changed to MERS Corp as of 1999. So again, I guess that's the parent company. They bought them back in 1999. And then again to Morse Corp Holdings, Inc. on February 27th of 2012, which is the owner and operator of the e-registry, but is not disclosed in mortgages. So they've changed their names a lot. Seems like. So what exactly is MERS for? Real estate law and real estate transactions in the U.S. are subject to state regulations and county level recoordinations requirement. That made it quite cumbersome for financial companies to develop a smooth operation of market based on mortgages in the early 1980s. This is because every time a financial instrument containing mortgages is sold, various state laws may require that each scale of each such mortgage or deed of trust be recorded to the local county courts in order to preserve certain rights. So this is going into what Quadir has been saying. Let me pull this up on the screen so you guys can read along with what I'm viewing. So real estate law and real estate transactions in the United States are subject to state regulations and county level requirements that made it quite cumbersome for financial companies to develop a smooth operation of market based on mortgages in the 1980s. This is because every time a financial instrument containing mortgages is sold, various state laws may require that the scale of each such mortgage or deed of trust be recorded to the local county courts in order to preserve certain rights, which triggers an obligation to pay corresponding recording fees. So the financial industry, eager to trade in mortgage-backed securities, needed to find a way around these requirements, and this is how MERS system was born to replace public. Okay, so yeah, it's basically a system that records transactions when a mortgage is opened up, or in this case, a what did they call it? A financial instrument. So by using MERS, the lenders and investors who are in real parties in interest avoid the need to file assignments in county land courts, which lowers costs for lenders, and then they claim consumers by reducing county recording fee expenses resulting from real estate transfers, and provides a central source of information and tracking for mortgage, reducing county recording fees expenses resulting and provides this for mortgage loans. Morse Corp Holdings Inc. role in facilitating mortgage trading was relatively unconventional in its early days, but continued fallout from the subprime mortgage crisis has held the firm at the center of large legal challenges disputing the company's right to initiate foreclosures. Now let's read that again. MERS Corp Holdings, Inc. Their role in facilitating mortgage trading was relatively unconventional in its early days, but continued fallout from the loans subprime mortgage crisis has placed them firm at the center of several legal challenges disputing the company's right to initiate foreclosures. Should these challenges succeed, the U.S. banking industry could face a renewed need for capitalization. The issue of the ownership of MERS system is blurred between the entities to the point that the courts tend to refuse the e-registry system with nominee because the use of the same MERS acronym. The MERS system is purpose to have fulfilled the safe harbor requirements in the state-led Uniform Electronic Transfers Act, UETA, however you want to say that, and e-sign electronic signatures in Global and National Commerce Act of 2000 adopted by Congress and the documents filed by MERS Corp. Well, hopefully I didn't confuse you guys too much when I read that. Yeah, this. So that gives you an idea of what MERS is. Again, do your own research. Do your own research when it comes to MERS. If you're interested in following the Quadir Howard case, if you have been following the Quadir Howard case, you need to look up this information to understand what Quadir is talking about. Otherwise, it's not going to make any fucking sense to you. So the next piece of information, what I said before, going back to PHH Mortgage Corp. I've already said this, but back in 2019, PHH Mortgage Corp paid out $750,000 to 6 military service members to resolve unlawful foreclosures. In 2018, PHH's parent company, PHH Corp, was acquired by Ocwen Financial Corp for approximately $360 million. Wow. I know all of these acronyms, Ocwen and MERS and PHH Mortgage Corp. So PHH Mortgage Corp has I'm going to have to continue looking into PHH Mortgage Corp, because you can't deny what Quadir is saying. If you really do your research on this company, yes, they have paid out. They're notorious for settlements. They've been paying out people since, I believe, 2012 for specifically unlawful, that's how they phrased it, unlawful foreclosures. Jamie, you probably went back to the live stream and watched what Quadir was saying. That's probably what I'm going to do, because I need to go back and watch it again, because I was watching it at work. I was listening to it in my ear pods, so I was just going along. I didn't have a chance to rewind certain things that he was saying, but I did catch this part, and that was MERS. And again, that stands for Mortgage Electronic Registration Systems, and this company called PHH Mortgage Corp. Go over to my community tab post. Let your voice be heard. Speaking of which, let's change up the gears. And then I'm probably going to be hopping off here because I need to get some sleep. Do you think that CC Candace Cooley feels guilty for what happened to Dylan Rounds? 67% of people said yes. 33% of people said no. There's been 9 votes. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that Candace Cooley harbors some type of guilt because she knew she did something wrong? Did Dylan Rounds have a stormy childhood, and that's the reason why he moved out to Listen, Utah? What was the relationship like between Candace Cooley and Dylan Rounds? Let's be realistic, people. Really think about this. What was their relationship like? Because we're only getting Candace's side of the story. Dylan Rounds is not here to speak for himself. Now, I don't want to speak for him, but you have to ask these type of questions. What was the relationship like between Dylan Rounds and Candace Cooley? Do you think that Candace Cooley feels guilty for what happened to Dylan Rounds? 67% of people said yes. 33% of people said no. Take the poll. It is up on my community tab post. On to the next question. So I asked my community, I want to understand your perspective. Do you think that Candace Cooley has controlled the narrative in the Dylan Rounds case? Being quite frank, do you think that Candace Cooley has controlled the main narrative in the Dylan Rounds case? 83% of people said yes. 17% of people said no. So the vast majority thinks that she has been controlling the narrative in the Dylan Rounds case. Why do you think that? Why would she control the narrative? I'm curious to hear your thoughts and opinions. What the fuck is creeping? What the fuck is creeping in the background? I hear a creep on the down low. Is it a mouse? Is it Jim Terry? Is it Jim Terry hiding in the fucking bushes? That's the last thing I fucking need is another stalker. Guys, I'm convinced that Jim Terry is stalking. I'm going to be honest with you. He's stalking someone. He's stalking someone. And I might as well throw this one in here too, since we're talking about Dylan Rounds. Let's talk about Aiden Clune. Do you think that Aiden Clune purposely disappeared? 11% of people said yes. 89% of people said no. Why not? Why would he not disappear? Why would he not purposely disappear? What motives would he have not to purposely disappear? Do you think that he was being smothered by Amy Clune? His smothering mother, and that's why he disappeared? Was because he was trying to get away from Amy? I'm just saying what it is. I'm just asking questions, okay? Not trying to be offensive towards Amy, but I'm just saying Aiden could have been running from his mother. That was one of the reasons why he left. That combined with all of the other strange coincidence, if you want to chop it up, which I don't think are coincidence, and it's just a mental health crisis. No, that kid had a reason to leave California. Either someone was following him. There's a reason why he felt like his life was in danger. There's a reason why he said to Amy that it wasn't safe there. There's a reason why he told Amy not to answer the doors and to keep them locked. So again, do you think that Aiden Clune purposely disappeared? Do you think that he disappeared and was successful with disappearing? Possibly doesn't want to be found? Take the poll. I'm not taking the poll. I'm not participating in such asinine questions. Get the hell off my page then. Get the fuck off my page and keep your snide ass remarks to yourself. That brings me to my next question. I asked you guys, do you think that Aiden Clune was running from his smothering mother? 45% of people said yes. 55% of people said no. So again, do you think that Aiden Clune, one of the reasons why he was disappearing was because of his mother? He was trying to escape Amy. She was a helicopter mom. He needed space. He's 19. He needs to go out and live his life. You know, he wanted to get out. I don't know. What do you think? So again, 45% of people said yes. 55% of people said no. Do you think that Aiden Clune was running from Amy Clune? 11 votes. I also asked, do you think that recreational drugs played a role in Aiden Clune's disappearance? 67% of people said yes. 33% of people said no. Do you think that recreational drugs played a role in Aiden's disappearance? 67% of people said yes. 33% of people said no. So the vast majority of people think that Aiden Clune, we already know that he was on antidepressants. He was taking antidepressants without Amy's knowledge. Well, was he hopping on and off antidepressants? That alone is not good. But playing devil's advocate, because again, Amy really does not know her son. There's a certain part of her son that I don't think she knows. And there's a part of Aiden that was wild and had an unbridled spirit. An unbridled spirit. He wanted to go out and live. So who's to say that he was not drinking? Who's to say that he was not taking spice, that he was smoking spice, synthetic marijuana? Who's to say that while he was in Oregon or Washington, while he went up to Washington, he didn't do some acid or smoke some spice? And I don't know, possibly it sent him into a permanent trip, because you have to watch that type of stuff. You have to watch that type of stuff, especially nowadays. I was just talking about this. Fentanyl is killing people. So what are the chances that Aiden Clune went up to Washington? He got introduced either by his cousin Jordan or somebody else up there. He got introduced in some type of drug, right? And that's where it all started. Now that combined with all of the stuff and all of the stress, right, that he was experiencing, that only piled on top of it. The drugs just amplified it. And let's also not forget, if we are under the assumption that Aiden Clune was doing drugs, we also have to ask, why was he doing drugs? Because people that do drugs just don't do drugs for the fuck of it. No, it's a way of coping. It's a way of numbing. So what was he trying to numb? What was he trying to cope with if he was on drugs? Allegedly. Let me say allegedly. If he was on drugs, why? And if he went up to Washington and got introduced into something, who introduced him into it? Was it something that he was already doing and then it just, followed him to Washington? Because your problems, you just don't leave in another state. Trust me, that's what I'm learning right now. No matter where you go, there you are. Just because you go to another state does not mean that your problems, whatever problems you had, your personal problems, are going to be left behind. No, they're going to follow you no matter where you go. So again, taking drugs out of that. Let's take drugs completely out of the situation, because some people will be like, you're telling lies and you're being disrespectful towards Aiden's case. Again, I'm not. I'm asking realistic questions. I'm being realistic. If that offends you, then I don't know what to tell you. You don't need to be studying true crime then, because a lot of shit is going to offend you. Taking drugs out of the equation. If Aiden Clune wanted to move to Washington, why did he want to move to Washington? Why is no one asking that? There was a reason why he wanted to get out of Amy's house. Again, he's 19. And that only plays into the narrative that one of the reasons why he was running is because of Amy. He doesn't want to go back to Sonoma and live with his mother. He wants to go out and get his own apartment. He wants to possibly reconcile a relationship that he had with his father. in early life that's been stormy. And again, with him having a stormy relationship with his father, and if he was on antidepressants, like what Amy is telling us, when you get on antidepressants, that shit does something to you, especially if you're not used to it or if you're not familiar with how antidepressants works. You may not know what to expect. And there's a reason why one of the side effects for all antidepressants is it may cause the youth to be the S word. I'm not talking about shit. I'm talking about unaliving by one's own doing. There's a reason why that happens, because whenever you take these medications, it brings up old trauma, things that you have suppressed within your mind. But you have to understand that memories are never lost, they are only recycled. Your mind, when it blocks out something very traumatic, guess what it's trying to do? It's trying to protect itself. That's why people experience blackouts, because your brain is going through so much trauma that it shuts down and you just go into autopilot mode. You ever heard how someone just blacked out on somebody? Yeah, it's a real thing. It's scary. It's terrifying. But I digress. Aiden Clune, getting back to Aiden Clune, when he was taking this antidepressant medication, was all of that stuff rising to the surface? The relationship that he had with his father, the relationship that he wanted to have with his father but couldn't. Again, what happened in middle school? Really, that's so many questions. What happened in middle school to make Aiden abruptly say, you know what, I don't want, change his mind, just have a change of heart and be like, I don't want to get to know my father? What caused that? Was it just something that he personally chose to do? Or was he coerced into thinking, into believing that, oh, you don't want a relationship with your father? Your father is a terrible person. The best thing that your dad did for you is abandon you. Have you ever heard that? How many people have heard that? How many people have heard their mother say that? Yeah, you see where I'm going with this? Oh, yeah, by the way, happy full moon in Scorpio. It is a full moon tonight. In Scorpio, it's also a lunar eclipse, too. Did Aiden Clune experience this, and that's what played into this episode, if you want to call it that? I don't know. And now you have Jim Terry. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know what to believe. Jim Terry has said to me privately on the phone, not on camera. He called me about, I want to say a month and a half ago. And one of the things that he said was Candace Cooley and Sleuth Mom are cousins. Allegedly. Allegedly. And I was thinking, I was like, well, that would make sense why Dylan and Aiden's cases came out back to back. Because Aiden disappeared before Dylan. And it wasn't until Dylan's story blew up that Aiden started getting coverage. And that's why the two of them are associated with each other. Not saying that they're related, but they are associated with each other just naturally. If anything, even if what Jim Terry said was false, you can't get mad when people want to put Aiden Clune and Dylan Rounds in the same title. Hell, why not? Even if they have nothing to do with each other, there's still two missing 19-year-old men, young men, one of which is a murder case, and the other one has been chopped up into a mental health crisis. And he just ran off into the mountains, never to be seen again. His tracks stop. Bizarre, very bizarre how his tracks just stop. Literally, like someone's walking and then they just stop. The footprints stop. How do you explain that? The back of my neck is burning. Another thing with the Aiden Clune case, I'm going to say this and then I'll get off here. If you go over to my community tab post, go down. You're going to have to go down a little bit, but it's been a while. I posted this photo of footprints and I asked you guys, what can you find wrong with this picture? In this picture, which has now been deleted, this picture you cannot, if you go over to the Help Find Aiden Clune Facebook or Find Aiden Clune Facebook, Amy Finds Aiden, she renamed it that and then she changed it back, which I thought was weird how she would name it Amy Finds Aiden. But this picture right here in context, what you're looking at, this last footprint, these last two footprints are not footprints, they're handprints. They're handprints. If you look closely, I know it's kind of hard because this is a screenshot, so it's very digity or whatever. It's very boxy, pixelated. That's what I'm trying to say. It's very pixelated. Is very pixelated, but if you look closely where my mouse is, that is not a damn footprint. That is a handprint. And so is this, too. Now, in the original story, it said that Aiden was purposely trying to throw off police by taking on and off his shoes. He would take off his shoes while crossing roads. And, yeah, but look at this. Look at this. If you can find it on another channel, go over to Salty Pancakes, by the way. He's been diving deep into the Aiden Clune case. And I know that some people, they don't agree with everything that Salty Pancakes says, but he brings out good information, things that maybe you didn't know about before. Because the Aiden Clune case, it's not like the Dylan Rounds case. It hasn't received enough attention, in my opinion, compared to Dylan Rounds. The two of them need to receive the same amount of attention. I don't care if they're not related or not. There's something is off. Something is fishy about this. Why is there two handprints right here and right here? And then this is the picture that Amy Clune posted recently, which has been taken down, of Aiden's footprints. This is the first time that we're seeing actual footprints. We've seen that one footprint. Aiden had on what did he have on? Converse, black Converse, but I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but these don't look like footprints. These are not footprints. These are clearly handprints. Why is someone out there staging footprints, pretending to be handprints, unless Aiden did this himself? Which wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't make any sense, even how they're positioned. Look at it. There's nothing over here. So even if someone took their bare hands and placed them out in front of them, trying to deter police, right? Deter police from finding them, you would find something over here. But no. And look, all of these go in almost a perfectly straight line. It's like he was walking 1 foot in front of each other, not side by side. And it doesn't look like that he was running either. If we are to believe that these are footprints, but they don't look like footprints. Honestly, none of them look like footprints. The more you look into this one right here, you can kind of see the finger indentions. Footprints. Why did Amy choose to take this down? That's really the question. Why did she choose to take this down soon after posting it? Why? I don't know. So you guys, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. Have a good rest of your night. Tell me what you think. This is weird. Again, if you want to support me during my journey right now, because I'm still going to Bowling Green or Kentucky. I don't know about Bowling Green, but Kentucky, I have to reconsider some things. Not because of Lane. That's one of the omens I thought was weird, because he moved to Bowling Green and then died. And I'm talking about moving to Bowling Green now. But there's some other things I found out about Bowling Green in regards to my job, and that may affect me going there or at least working there. So, yeah, I have looked into other places, and luckily for me, if I play my cards right, I should have employment lined up as soon as I get up there. I'm not going to disclose exactly where I'll be, but I'll be coming through Western Kentucky, Northwestern Kentucky. If you want to support the cause right now, because I'm having to come out of pocket with all of my travel expenses, my lodging, the hotel room, and my temporary housing until I get into my new place, gas money, any little bit helps. That is my Cash App. That is my PayPal. Help me get out of the state of Florida.